Good morning. This is Tim Cook, and definitely not some weird AI voice clone thing. I'm just sending this voice note to confirm that, yes, it was because of Stephen. Don't worry. I'm not upset that the iCloud team rushed to get my attention while I was in the middle of looking at some important charts. It didn't bother me at all being told that the International Tech Podcast put us on blast for not being able to merge Apple accounts. Really, I'm not. And I am definitely not going to sneak Federico the answers in the next Rickies as a way to get back at you. Also, you can have my humane AI pin, Stephen. I think it's still unopened.
From Relay, this is Connected, episode 541. Today's show is brought to you by our three excellent sponsors, Google Gemini, Incogni, and Ecamm. I'm your annual chairman, Federico Ticci, and it's my pleasure to be joined today and for the next few months by the one and only Mr. Stephen Hackett. Hello, Stephen.
Hello, Federico. How are you?
I am doing fantastic. How about you?
I'm good. We should start the show with some congratulations.
We should. And obviously, congratulations to us.
Yes.
No, to us for enduring. No, congratulations to the Hurley family. Obviously, Myke and Adina had their beautiful baby. Sophia was born last Saturday, right?
Mm-hmm.
Unexpectedly, last Saturday on February 22nd, Myke posted a beautiful photo on Instagram and also then posted on the other social networks. I don't know about you, Steven. It kind of feels unreal to know that and I mean in the best possible way that Myke is a father, because we've been through so many things together, right?
Yeah.
The three of us, right? And it's just a beautiful thing that Myke and Adina have entered this new chapter of their family and this new chapter of their lives. And I cannot imagine, because I'm not a father, I cannot imagine what it feels like. You obviously, I think, maybe have a much better sense than I do, because not only do you have you have three,
Mm-hmm.
you have three children. So I am just so happy for Myke and Adina. I think it seems like they have received an outpouring of love from our community, and yeah. So congrats, Myke and Adina, and welcome, Sophia.
Yes. Welcome, Sophia. Yeah, I got a text very late from him saying, she was a few days early, I think, but everyone's good. I spoke to him yesterday. They're home. And yeah, it's so exciting. I'm just so happy for them and can't wait to meet little Sophia at some point in the future.
Yeah.
You think she has takes on iPhone colors or anything yet?
Okay. We need to clarify. We need to address something immediately.
Okay.
Are we allowed to make Myke as a father and Sophia jokes already? Like, is that okay?
I mean, I think it's okay.
Okay, perfect. Just I need it for future material.
Oh, okay. I thought maybe you had one queued up. Like
No, I do have some queued up. Like,
okay.
it's been killing me not to be able to share these jokes, but yes.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe, can't wait to see Sophia at WWDC.
What happens first? Sophia can talk, or Siri has app intents?
No, this is just savage from you. My money is on Sophia.
Yeah, me too. What is a baby if not a large language model, really?
Well, yes, kinda. Stephen, can we talk about the Apple C1?
Please. I'd love to.
So we shared, I think 2 weeks ago, when we talked about the new iPhone 6C carrying the brand new Apple-made modem, the C1 modem, we shared this conspiracy theory that was also reinforced by friend of the show and my colleague OTJ on Mastodon, that maybe it was the C1's fault that the iPhone 6C does not have MagSafe charging, because maybe the modem is big and there's not enough room for Apple to fit MagSafe charging in there. Well, it seems like Apple also saw these conspiracy theories floating around on social media and other websites, and they issued a statement to Macworld saying Apple has confirmed to Macworld that the C1 modem is not responsible for the decision to leave MagSafe charging off the new iPhone 6e. Okay, so it's not, not the C1's fault. It's a decision from Apple. And we also obviously saw some other reports from Gurman and from other sources saying that this is obviously just the beginning of Apple rolling out their in-house modems on new devices. Obviously, it sounds like the new iPhone 17 lineup of devices coming out at some point in September will all carry Apple-made modems, and it seems like the reasonable thing for Apple to do now. I saw a video on YouTube from a YouTuber who was able to tour the facility, because Apple, for everything they make, they have a facility, and they were able to take a tour of all the fancy rooms that they have for testing cellular signal, testing interference, like all that sort of stuff. So Apple has built a whole structure to test these modems. They have spent a lot of money over the course of many, many years, and it just makes sense for Apple to now have this technology and roll it out on as many devices as possible and reduce their reliance on Qualcomm or whoever was making their modems before.
Yeah, it was Qualcomm. Yeah, Apple's wanted to get away from Qualcomm forever. There have been fights between the companies. There's a pretty big licensing fee for Qualcomm, and obviously Apple wants to control, every bit of vital hardware they can. And now that Apple Silicon is in force, the modem is obviously the next thing in that line. But my favorite thing about this Reuters article, it's in the show notes. I just love looking at all the stuff. There's a picture of Johnny Cerrugi and an unnamed Apple engineer looking at this iMac, and they're doing some sort of thing. All this stuff behind them, there's oscilloscopes and servers, and it's pretty cool.
that first photo in the article of the person standing in front of a rack of shelves with a bunch of iPhones, it looks like one of those photos for a content farm of somebody playing 50 different instances of Farmville on a phone or something like that. It looks like that type of setup. It's just a whole bunch of iPhones doing something with the modem, obviously, and also some rack-mounted old Mac Minis, I think.
Yeah, it's the old design.
So,
everything is clear acrylic, all the stands, and it's is someone cleaning that? Can you imagine the fingerprint situation in this room?
Those are nice-looking stands.
How much money do they spend on stands? I bet they're making them themselves. I bet they got a laser cutter.
For sure. And for sure. And also the cable management is absolutely on point in this photo. Really good job. Really good job. So that's the C1. Do you think we're going to see, with the iPhone 17, are we going to see the C1 or the C2 already?
Yeah, that was really interesting to me that I figured they would brand it. I don't think I would have guessed they gave it a number. It's what happens if the C2 isn't ready for 5 years? I don't know if we'll see the C2 in the iPhone 7. Maybe this will be an every few year thing. I really don't know, but it was very interesting to me that they branded it as if it were an Apple Silicon system on a chip.
How much money do you want to bet?
Oh no.
On the fact that in a few years they will skip the naming of the C4. Do you want to have a C4 in your phone?
Yeah.
Probably not.
I had not thought about that, but that's very good.
We're going from C3 to C5. C4 never happened.
Maybe. Wasn't there talk? This was years ago now. There's I forget what the number is. There's an unlucky number in Chinese culture, and people are like, "Oh, Apple's going to skip that phone number," and they didn't. Maybe it was the 7. I don't remember. 13.
Didn't I see? Am I hallucinating this? Didn't I see Ben Thompson or somebody else post something about this in the context of AI? recent. It's the number 4,
That's
which
right.
is spelled D-Y-D-I-E, like the word die. And it's the unlucky number. And there was a joke about Anthropic, the AI company, not shipping Claude 4 because 4 in Chinese is an unlucky number, something like that. So yes, I think that is the unlucky number also.
Maybe.
But obviously C4 is a bad name for something that goes into your phone with a battery.
It is.
You know.
Yes, just, Note 7 vibes. We got to talk about taxes now. Are you excited?
Yes. I couldn't wait.
So Lex, who is the proprietor of Ricky's.co, one of our scoring websites, Lex also much taller than I imagined. I met Lex in London this summer.
Are you taking Mike's thing now?
No,
Where
taller than Myke. I mean, everyone's taller than Myke. Sophia is taller than Myke, but we have to stop. Lex wrote in on episode 540. You were shocked by European iPhone prices. I agree.
Yes.
It's expensive, and lots of people around me find it hard to justify getting a new one. I was wondering, though, these U.S. prices, all sites. Oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought. We can leave that in. I was wondering, though, these U.S. prices that sites quote, they are excluding tax, right? Obviously, this is different per state, but most Americans pay more than what the price tag says. How does that calculation and psychology go in your heads, particularly with Stephen? Well, I'm a Stephen. I can answer this. So in Tennessee, the state sales tax is 7%. And then my local government has 2.75% sales tax on top of that. It's actually as high as the state will allow a local government to have a sales tax. So sales tax where I live in Memphis on most things is 9.75%. And that may sound really high to you if you live in the US and other states, but Tennessee does not have an individual income tax. And so they make up for that in high sales tax. So I don't pay individual income tax in Tennessee, but I pay almost 10% sales tax on everything. And I just mentally add 10% to everything. Like I don't even think about it. Like when I saw this question in the feedback form, I was like, I had to think oh yeah, I just add 10% just in my brain. And I haven't even thought about that in years. Cause that's just what it is. And I would imagine most people in the US, if they have sales tax, not every place does. I think it's Oregon does not have state sales tax.
Shout out to Oregon.
Shout out to Oregon. And, but they make it up. The state makes it up in other ways, right? They're taxing you in other areas. So that's what it is for me. And I have just totally internalized it as someone who has only lived here. And, that is what it is.
All right. Exciting.
Big news.
Huge news.
Huge news.
Are we ready for this? Are we doing this? We're doing this.
Let me start with some follow-up. Listener Brian wrote in and said, 48 megapixel needs to be your next shirt design. We have gone so much further than that.
Yes.
I have gone into the archives and we are re-releasing basically every t-shirt in the show's history. So we have Technology Should Be Colorful, our old standby. We have Gumdrops, which is the shirt we did with when I was collecting all the iMacs. That one is tweaked a little bit. I had to, first of all, the original artwork had a yellow iMac, which never existed. So I replaced it with a graphite one. And originally that shirt had us as cartoon characters in front of it. And I got rid of those due to printing issues. And so it's just the iMacs. We have Take a Test Flight, which is I've been testing the shirt for a few weeks. We have 2 Tiny Head shirts.
Yes.
We have Return of the Tiny, which is just the standard black print on a bunch of different colors. And then we have Tiny Heads Special Edition, which is a black shirt, and the Tiny Heads artwork is done in 6 colors. So the
beautiful
classic Apple logo. And then our newest shirt is Organic Megapixels. It's pickles in a jar, but it's also a camera lens.
Organic megapixel has to be one of the best thing one of the best things you've ever made, Stephen. We have gone through, you and I, in secret, obviously, in secret from Michael, we have gone through many iterations of the Megapickle to land on a design that couldn't be confused with anything else.
That's right.
And obviously you have the mega pickles in a jar, and there's two sliced pickles, but one of them is also a camera because it's a mega pickle. And they're organic, and the logo, the design looks absolutely amazing on the green T-shirt. I'm just so happy to see these stupid jokes all together in a single page where people can go in and buy these T-shirts. And I think, Stephen, we should pitch our listeners on these T-shirts, right? And there's multiple degrees of pitching that we could do. And let me just say that I have some ideas, but the kind of pitch that I prepared, only I am allowed to do it, because I am going to use some politically incorrect jokes.
Oh boy.
That I can do because I have internet insurance, which means that I cannot be canceled for saying certain things. That is a concept that I came up with. Internet insurance should be a thing. For example, one way that I would pitch our listeners on these T-shirts is Myke's family is starving, and they need your money. They're all starving, and it is what it is. And we are releasing these T-shirts to make sure that especially Myke, because obviously all the food is going to Sophia, and so Myke is hungry right now. Myke is starving, and the money goes a long way toward buying whatever food they buy in the UK. Pasta at what's the name of the supermarket? Tesco or something like that.
Isn't that a gas station?
Is that a gas station?
I don't know.
No, I think it's a supermarket. I don't know. Or I could say that you buy these T-shirts because, let's face it, we used to say that we were the greatest podcast, the world's greatest podcast, right?
Yes.
I would argue that a few years have passed. That status has remained. But, I mean, look deep down inside yourself and ask yourself this question. Do I listen to any other tech show that is as funny and as lovable as Connected? I think you know the answer. And the answer is Connected is the funniest tech show you listen to on a weekly basis. So we deserve your money, arguably, right? Because we make you laugh. I mean, you know it. You can listen to a tech show that talks about file systems every week. You could listen about a tech show about, power users of the Mac. No offense, Stephen.
No, not taken.
You could listen to a tech podcast about, I don't know, regulation or something. But no, we make you laugh. And that's the world's greatest currency, I would say. And so why? The answer is not, should I buy the Connected T-shirts? The question is not that. The question is, why wouldn't I? So that's my pitch.
Okay.
I'm going to get canceled for a whole bunch of reasons.
I mean, can't help you. Yeah, all those reasons. So the shirts are on sale now. There's a link in the show notes. Pre-orders are open through March 14th. So we'll remind you a few more times. This is kind of the standard Cotton Bureau thing where, you pre-order and then they print them and ship them out. Please go buy a shirt. It'd mean a lot to us.
Yes.
How do you think Myke's going to take this?
I think it will put up this pretense that is upset. We should factor in the fact that he is sleep deprived at the moment. So maybe his first reaction won't be exactly nice. I don't know.
I do view this as a test to see how quickly he's listening to podcasts.
Yes.
Like if it takes him 8 days to be mad at us, then then we
I would
know that
also-
he's not listening.
I would also say that the listeners should buy these t-shirts to prove a point to Myke that you and I were right, about doing merch again. Like, get the satisfaction of showing Myke that Connected is the kind of show that can sell merch.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not just Cortex.
It's not just Cortex. We can sell products even if they're not fancy notebooks.
Well, big news.
Mhm.
No, we don't have a notebook. What if I just bought a bunch of Cortex notebooks and like put Connected stickers on them and put them back for sale?
How would you call it?
I don't know.
So they have the theme system journal.
Mm-hmm.
We could do they do themes. I don't know. We could sort of do the exact opposite that they hate. We're gonna call it like resolution something.
Oh yeah, that's good.
Yeah, with all these themes. No, we love resolutions.
We love them.
Yeah,
Resolute.
the Resolute Notebook.
Done.
Honestly, that's a good name.
That is a good name. So yes, please go buy shirts. Don't make us regret this.
we love you. Don't listen to my jokes. We appreciate you, and
Yeah.
we don't expect you to buy all the t-shirts, but also we wouldn't mind.
Wouldn't mind. I
Yeah.
cannot wait to see these in the world.
Yes.
Very excited.
Especially organic mega pickles.
It's really good. We went. We had a whole day basically where I was working in
Yeah.
Illustrator. I'd like send you something. It was fun.
I don't think I've looked at as many drawn pickles as I did in those 2 hours of my life.
That
It was
Illustrator
fun.
document has lots of bad ideas in it, and then we finally landed on it.
Yes.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Google Gemini. I tried Gemini a couple of days ago, Gemini Live, where you can talk to it. And it's really wild to have a full-on conversation with this thing. I was asking it to give me ideas for hosting during the holidays, and when it starts giving you results, you can just stop it and say something like, okay, well, what about something a bit more low-key for a smaller group? Then it adjusts to that, and you can just keep going until you get an idea that you want. I think that's what I would use it for the most, brainstorming things. It's so good if you don't know where to start or you hit a wall with something. You just go to Gemini and it helps you get the ball rolling again. But you can use it for all kinds of stuff. If you want to learn something new, you can have it give you advice, ask it to explain something like Bitcoin in simple terms, or you can have it quiz you on something like microbiology. I mean, imagine being a student and you've got this personal tutor on hand. It's hard to explain. You really have to play around with it, see how it listens, responds, and adapts to your style of conversation. Just try it out. It's free. Our thanks to Google Gemini for the support of the show.
So can we talk about Wi-Fi 7?
Sounds good.
Just completely switching gears. So long story short, I have upgraded to Wi-Fi 7, but let me explain why. I had been using for about a year a Wi-Fi 6E system.
Yeah.
I had one of those fancy, very capital G gamer-y routers by Asus with all the antennas sticking out that almost looks like a robot that wants to kill you.
Yeah, those are upsetting.
They're very upsetting. Thankfully, I hid it in a cabinet so that people wouldn't be able to see that robotic spider providing the Wi-Fi, and it worked okay. I wouldn't say well because they're very expensive, and I gotta tell you that for the price, I was probably expecting better performance. But the problem with the Wi-Fi 6E system that I had is that after about a year, I was basically annoyed with all the issues that I was encountering with latency and range. I don't know if it was a problem specific to the Wi-Fi 6E standard or if it was an issue of the routers or my placement. I don't know, but I was I was having all kinds of trouble streaming my PS5, streaming, from the cloud for cloud gaming, and even just, being able to have good range inside the apartment, which is not a huge apartment. It's like 95 square meters. Don't ask me about square feet because I have no idea. But it's not like I don't live in a mansion.
Right.
I live on a single floor. And the moment that I went into my bedroom, Sylvia, for example, sleeps on the side of the bed that is the farthest away from the office where I had the satellite router, and she would constantly drop back to 5G because the Wi-Fi couldn't hold the connection there. And it's like, that seems not ideal given that there's 10 meters in terms of distance and two walls, but these two walls usually have the door open.
Yeah. It's the walls, man. 6E, 5 gigahertz just struggles through walls. 5 and 6 gigahertz both.
That's what I also realized over time. So I started doing my research, and I started looking at Wi-Fi 7, and I started doing some research in terms of looking at the best options, because I was like, if I'm going to spend money, these Wi-Fi 7 routers are really expensive. But I figured if I want to spend money, I got to get at least something that is going to last me not a year, but ideally 2 years or 3 years before Wi-Fi 8 or whatever comes out. Let me tell you, there were some really expensive options. The consensus on the internet is that Asus continues to make the best options for Wi-Fi 7, but a pair of those Asus routers was 1,600 euros.
Oh, what?
1,600 for 2 units. And combining, the fact that this price was insane with the fact that I didn't have a good experience with Asus, I was like, maybe I'm not going to get the Asus ones, and I should look at other options. And I saw that the second best that was frequently recommended was from a brand that I had never personally used, but a lot of people in my real life were vouching for, and that is the TP-Link Deco, it's DECO, the TP-Link Deco line. Specifically, the BE85. So, I was very intrigued by these models because I knew one of them I was going to keep in the living room cabinet, hidden from you. But the other one, I knew that I had to compromise. For the past year, the Asus one was also hidden in my office cabinet. I have this small cabinet under my desk.
Mm-hmm.
But I figured if my video game console is plugged into this secondary unit, and I want to make sure that when I'm in the bedroom, I get the best possible Wi-Fi, probably this unit doesn't have to be inside a wooden cabinet. It has to be outside. And if it had to be outside, it had to look nice. That was my only request. It has to look not like a robot that wants to kill me. It has to look minimal. It has to look nice. And the TP-Link Deco BE85, it's basically a pretty bare bones, chunky, tall, white cylinder.
Yeah,
that's it.
Inoffensive.
It looks like I don't know. It's a canister. It's a cylinder. It's a plastic white cylinder that is a Wi-Fi router. And I got it, and I set it up a couple of weeks ago. And let me tell you, Stephen, it's been a dream come true. And I have had the time of my life streaming video games, both locally and from the cloud using Wi-Fi 7. And I think what is working for me with Wi-Fi 7 is a specific feature of Wi-Fi 7, which is MLO. It stands for multi-link operation. There is a unique Wi-Fi 7 thing that means this network can set up two separate networks, a regular one and another one that uses MLO. The thing about MLO is that it can use multiple Wi-Fi bands at the same time. In my case, it's basically meshing, it's combining the 5 gigahertz and the 6 gigahertz band at the same time. That vastly increases the bandwidth and vastly increased the stability of the connection and the range of the connection. So I have been streaming from my PS5 and from the cloud also. I've been streaming with my Android tablet and with my other devices, with my iPhone 16 Pro Max and the iPad Pro. All of them have Wi-Fi 7. I've been streaming PlayStation 5 and NVIDIA GeForce Now. It has been incredible. I have gone from the 3-4 milliseconds of latency that I was seeing before inside my local network, which may not seem like a big deal, but especially when you're playing something fast-paced, you can tell.
I'm sure.
The latency is an issue. I have gone from 3-4 milliseconds of latency to 0.2 milliseconds of latency.
Jeez.
It's been beautiful to see these stats go down, and just I'm basically streaming like Astrobot, for example, or even the new. Do you remember the Apple Arcade game Sayonara Wild Hearts?
Yeah.
So they re-released it on PS5 a few days ago with like 4K and 120 FPS mode. It's beautiful. Like when you stream on Wi-Fi 7, it's basically like I'm sitting in front of the PS5. Obviously, the PS5 is plugged into Ethernet, and the signal goes over Wi-Fi 7 MLO to my iPad Pro, for example. And I just don't see any latency anymore. The quality of the image is incredible. I have plenty of bitrate to like the performance and bitrate headroom that I have is wild right now. The iPhone supports Wi-Fi 7, the iPad Pro supports Wi-Fi 7, and I've basically reached the point where with these two routers, I get the real speeds from my ISP no matter where I am in the house. Like I don't see any speed degradation anymore.
Over Wi-Fi, like just
over Wi-Fi. Yes.
What is wild to me about Wi-Fi 7 is that for the first time, you're not penalized speed-wise, and especially latency-wise, to your point a second ago, by not using a cable.
Yeah.
Like it breaks all of like my entire tech life. If you want fast and more importantly, reliable speeds, you use Ethernet. And with the Wi-Fi 7, it's like, actually you're okay. Like you can now, the hardware's expensive. Like these base stations are pricey, and I think even 7 has some of the range issues. 6E, I think in hindsight will really be seen as kind of like a half step. My access points. So I tried Wi-Fi 7 initially when I switched to Unify. I had a lot of issues with it, not because of Wi-Fi 7, but I think Ubiquity's implementation of it. And from Reddit and some other places, it seems like that's mostly better now. But the access points I switched to, I actually misspoke on an episode weeks ago saying that it was just 6 and not 6E. But the access points I have are 6E capable. But the 6E is like, it's great if you have line of sight to the access point.
Yes.
And in some rooms in my house, I do, because I actually have ceiling mounted access points, and I cannot believe Merri let me mount them on the ceiling. But if you're not in view of one of them, you don't get 6E speeds. Like you get dropped down. And 7, I think, addresses some of that. But the higher these speeds get, and the broader like the channels are that the Wi-Fi is on, you have issues with walls. And like you said, it was like in a piece of furniture. It's gotten more complicated. Wi-Fi has gotten more complicated. But if you can sort all this out and you have equipment that can do it, the speeds now are just, truly unbelievable from like a traditional tech standpoint.
Yeah. Two more things I want to say. The first one is kind of funny. One of my Android handhelds, shout out to MPC, where I talked about this, the AN Odin 2 Portal. It's an Android-based little handheld console. it can connect to Wi-Fi 7, and it can also connect because it sees the separate Wi-Fi 7 MLO network. But when it connects, it reboots. So it seems like the Android fork that the company flashed on the console is not exactly optimized for MLO connections.
It doesn't seem like it.
As soon as it connects, it hard crashes and the whole thing reboots. So not ideal. I just been using regular Wi-Fi 7, and that's already even the regular Wi-Fi 7. I want to point out it's a vast improvement over 6E.
Yeah.
The other thing, that the TP-Link app, the Deco app, has a really nice feature in that it can scan your network and it can automatically optimize your Wi-Fi based on channel interference that it finds around you. And I did this, and it realized that there was interference with the previous channel that I was using for the 5 gigahertz band. It fixed itself, and I've been having incredible performance. Like, you go into settings, you tap the optimize button, it scans the whole network for like 30 seconds, and it tells you, I found some interference on this channel. I'm switching to this other one. It's great. I've been really, really liking it.
That's important, especially in a situation like yours, where like you're in a building with a bunch of neighbors, right?
Yes.
And that may change over time if like someone next door gets a new access point. And Unified is the same thing, where it's like you can manually select the channels, or there's like an optimize button. Unify, you can even set it up to optimize every 24 hours. My situation is relatively stable because I'm in a house, and like, it's a house next door. I'm not, sharing a wall with anybody or anything. But it is, it's very useful because you really can get speed penalties if you're kind of running over someone else's network on the same band.
Yeah. And lastly, I have a confession to make.
Okay.
For something funny that I did. So I was setting this up one afternoon while the cleaning lady that we have was over she was doing the office, I think. And I was setting this up in the living room. And obviously, like I always do, I set up the new network with the same name as before.
Yes.
So that all my previous devices would automatically reconnect. And when a device connects for the first time to the TP-Link network, the TP-Link app tells you, like Federico's iPhone has joined the network. So I was setting this up, and
it talks? Like it says something?
No, it sends you a notification.
Okay, I was like, well, I don't want that.
No, it sends you a notification.
Okay.
You can disable them, but I had them on. So I was setting this up, and I saw every device come back to life slowly but surely, like all the cameras, all the Apple TV, everything was reconnecting. And at some point I saw Xiaomi Redmi Note 10 is online.
Oh boy.
And I thought, what is going on here? For a good 10 minutes, I was convinced that my Wi-Fi password had been passed around by one of our neighbors. Because we had some of the neighbors over the past year, and it's possible that I shared my Wi-Fi network with them. And for a good 10 minutes, I thought, oh no, for the past year, someone has been on my Wi-Fi.
Mm-hmm.
Because as soon as I turned it off and recreated the network, this device came back online. Now it's on the network, but it must have been on the network for the past year.
Yeah.
And so I went in and blocked the device. And after about 30 minutes, like I was texting Sylvia, I was like, I think we had someone on the network for the past year. And I was very concerned.
It was the cleaning lady, right? Is that where this goes?
It was the cleaning lady's phone.
Mm.
She came to me and was like, Federico, I've been unable to call my son on WhatsApp, and I realized that because she never had good reception inside my apartment, and so that's why last year I gave her the Wi-Fi, and so she's like, I'm trying to call my son, but the Wi-Fi is not working anymore, and I was like, I realized what happened. I was like, that's weird. Let me see what's up. And then I secretly opened the TP-Link app and unblocked the device, and she was okay.
Fixed it. Yeah, it is funny looking through and like, wait, that's hooked up somewhere? That is very funny though. And I would, especially with like a brand, there's like, it's not yours, right? Like, all the all your devices, you're like, what is this? I mean, that's fantastic. Well, yeah, I'm pleased that you got it all sorted out.
Yeah, finally.
Bedroom Wi-Fi is underrated. You need good Wi-Fi in there.
Yeah, but Sylvia won't let me put a router in the bedroom, so
that's probably fair.
Yeah.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Incogni. Data brokers are in the business of collecting personal information, which can be uncomfortable for a lot of us to think about. Nobody likes the idea of other people having access to personal details. Enter Incogni. They reach out to these data brokers on your behalf, request that your personal data be removed, and then deal with any objections from their side. Personal privacy is important to me, a lot more important than it used to be, honestly, and it really bothers me that my information is just out there. Well, with Incogni, you protect your privacy in 3 easy steps. Create an account, grant them the right to contact data brokers on your behalf, and then kick back while they get back to work. And you can stay up to date with their progress because a user-friendly dashboard provides updates on the status of removal requests. Incogni makes protecting your privacy easy. Learn more at incogni.com/connected and secure your data today. Sign up and enjoy a 30-day money-back guarantee. With Incogni, you experience the peace of mind knowing that your personal information is safe. So take back your personal data. Use code CONNECTED at the link in the show notes and get 60% off an annual plan. That's incogni.com/connected. Federico, there are new betas.
Yeah.
18.4 macOS, whatever, 0.4 Vision OS.
What is macOS 15?
15, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, 15. Sequoia 15.4. Lots of things in here. There are some noticeable absences as well. But I want to start with what in the world is going on with Apple News Plus food. I did not see this coming.
Tell me about this because I don't have News Plus.
Yeah, so News Plus is part of a paid iCloud subscription, and starting soon, News Plus subscribers will have access to this like new section. So there's Today, which is like headlines, News Plus, which is if you have paid access to the Wall Street Journal or a bunch of magazines, sports, and now a new tab called Food. And in there's going to be, quote, tens of thousands of recipes. There's going to be restaurant reviews, kitchen tips, kind of some lifestyle stuff in here. The UI is really interesting to look through the recipe catalog. And this is all coming from they have a bunch of content partners, right? It's not
right.
It's not Eddie Q putting his famous ribs in here. Although maybe.
I am sure. I don't know. I'm just vibing with this.
Sure.
But I think Eddie Q loves a Cuban sandwich.
Yeah.
I is that type of guy for sure.
I think so. I think he's probably also has a big smoker out back. He seems
yes, smoking meats.
Sweet Baby Ray's on there, So anyways, Apple's publishing with a bunch of publishers like Bon Appetit, Food and Wine, All Recipes, and some others. But the UI is really interesting. They have these categories at the top, so you can pick dinner or vegetarian, less than 30 minutes. They have a bunch of different things in here. You can save them for later. I don't know if this Sherlock's apps like Paprika or others, but it is interesting. What is most interesting to me in this UI, though, if you look through the newsroom article and scroll down, they have a step-by-step, how you do the recipe. And that's great because a lot of websites of recipes are awful. And they're covered in ads and comments and it's very clean. But if you look at this is the design of the lyrics view in Apple Music.
Yeah, this is Apple Music. Yes.
Right? It's the same. It's the same thing. It just kind of made me chuckle. But I need some feedback from you. In the head like the hero image on the Apple Newsroom, they have a recipe for some pasta. And this doesn't show the whole thing, but I would like your feedback on this recipe based on what you can see in this image.
Creamy miso pasta. So they're using red miso, which is stronger than white miso. I like miso. I think that's a good idea. And they're mixing like a high-level overview. They're doing miso, walnuts, roasted cabbage. Okay. Whole grain spaghetti. In the hero image, those are not spaghetti. I don't know if you guys are eating those as spaghetti in the US. Those are not spaghetti. Those are way too thick for being spaghetti.
I think I would call that spaghetti. I think it's just like a long, skinny noodle.
Well, that's a noodle. That's, noodles and spaghetti are two different things.
Okay.
Those are way too thick for being spaghetti, in my opinion. Anyway, setting that aside, they say they use Barilla, which is okay. Could have gone for something a little less mainstream, but whatever. So they're using tablespoon olive oil. First mistake, they're not using extra virgin olive oil. They should be using extra virgin, not standard olive oil. Red cabbage I like, salt and pepper, rice vinegar. This is a nice touch, using the rice vinegar. I use apple vinegar whenever possible, but the rice one is also a good idea. Walnuts chopped. I honestly have two issues with this recipe. I mean, aside from the suspicious shape of the spaghetti, the medium onion thinly sliced, and cloves of garlic finely chopped. Good luck with your digestion, mixing onion and garlic together.
That's a
in the
choice.
same pasta. That's a choice for sure. And my main concern is the heavy cream. What is heavy cream? Like, what is that? Like, I suppose that's what in Italy we call panna. Let me see. Heavy cream.
It's a lot of dairy for me.
Okay. Yeah. This is a thick. This is basically even thicker than our panna.
Yeah. Heavy cream is pretty thick. Like it's got some weight to it.
Okay. They could, considering how this looks on the surface like a vegetarian recipe, it could have passed for a vegan recipe.
Yeah, right until you get to heavy cream.
Right until you get to heavy cream. There were other options instead of the heavy cream.
There is like coconut heavy cream, but then your pasta tastes like coconut.
Yeah, it also tastes. Yeah, I mean, you could have used almond milk. You could have used some other kind of milk that is not like dairy and still gives the creamy texture and flavor to the sauce. But yeah, I mean, Americans, am I right?
Yeah,
they do what they gotta do. Yeah,
that's
with
right.
The heavy cream.
I hope that in the directions section, you see those little like labels look like timer links.
Those have to be shortcuts to start a timer.
Gotta
right?
be.
Yeah,
which
is a nice idea. Nice idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like this.
I think it's cool. You
know. There's a whole bunch of other things that we should talk about in 18.4. Most of which I am not using, but I still want to mention. Actually, I don't think any of them. I'm not using them. So there's for Apple Intelligence, we are not getting right now the new Siri Intense feature that is still, as we talked about in the report, that they were delaying the functionality maybe to 18.5, maybe later. That is, none of that is here. So no Siri Intense functionalities, no Siri awareness of your personal contacts or screen awareness, none of that. But we are getting priority notifications, which is using Apple Intelligence to highlight what the system considers important notifications that you're receiving. I have the Apple Intelligence notification stuff enabled. I have not received a priority one yet. For image playgrounds, and I see that you have just pasted an absolutely horrific result in our show notes.
Yeah.
The new sketch style is here, allowing you to create quote unquote sketch illustrations of various subjects. You just pasted an illustration of Myke that I gotta say it kind of looks like President Trump in this sketch.
A little bit.
A little bit, right? It's the red tie and the facial expression, I think.
I mean, look, Apple's spending $500 billion to keep the guy happy. So maybe it's just like they've weighted the models a little bit.
Train the model, you know? Oh, God. Sorry, Myke. So there's that. Whatever nightmare this is, you can now use it. For Apple Intelligence, there was something else, I think. No, that's pretty much about it, I think.
It's, no app intents.
No app intents, just the sketch illustrations and the priority notifications, because the smart categorization in Apple Mail, that's theoretically not Apple Intelligence.
Yeah.
But that is now available as of 18.4 on the iPad and on the Mac.
Yep.
So you can have those categories now in Apple Mail on every device. We also have these new toggles. This is kind of interesting. There's these new toggles in Control Center for ambient music, and you basically have these 4 toggles for chill, productivity, sleep, and well-being that are basically pointing to playlists in Apple Music. I think this is a good idea, and I'm especially fascinated by Apple expanding into different kinds of audio. They already have their white noise integration in iOS, and now they're gonna have this ambient music. I think it's a nice idea to have not just obviously Apple Music, but different kinds of music. I think it's nice. There's a whole bunch of smaller things. You can now see when your verification codes expire with a little timer in the Passwords app.
Yeah, that is a good addition. I mean, 1Password has that, because it's just the worst if you go to paste one of those things and it expires like in the 4 seconds it takes you to get back to Chrome. Good change there.
You're looking at a code, and then the moment you copy the code before 18.4, the moment you copy the code and you switch to Safari or whatever to paste the code, like in that moment it becomes like Schrodinger's code. Like it either works or it doesn't, and you only know until you hit return. So that it's nice to have a timer now. What else? Oh, you can, if you have a Matter enabled robot vacuum, you can now add that to the Home app, because it's expanding its Matter integration to with support for robot vacuums. I don't think the Matter specs includes any sort of standardized mapping feature, so you will not be able to see the map of your floor plan in the Home app. You still have to use whatever dedicated vacuum app you have on your phone to check the map, but you will at least be able to check the progress of the robot vacuum and start it or stop it, whatever.
Yeah.
There's going to be a new interface for editing albums in the Photos app, new widgets for your library and for your shows for the Podcasts app.
Good.
There's a new messages action to open a conversation, and arguably the big change, which we cannot test right now because it's not there yet, it's the new Vision Pro app that will allow you to enable guest mode, download apps and games on the Vision Pro App Store from your phone. Apple is doing a whole bunch of Vision Pro and Vision OS things in this release, including the new, Spatial Gallery app on the Vision Pro. None of these apps are available right now in Beta 1, but they will be at some point.
The Vision Pro app is really interesting. It seems like it's going to be the same model as the Apple Watch app on the iPhone.
Yeah.
Where you can kind of manage things in a easier way. And I think that plus the Spatial Gallery, which is this new Vision Pro app that basically has content from Apple and others that is like spatially enabled. And, right now that stuff's kind of hard to find. And I think that it's smart for Apple to put it under kind of one umbrella. Now, I think there's a risk there that if more of this content doesn't come out in a timely fashion, that app's going to feel stale. So I'm interested to see in how they keep it feeling fresh over time. It's different with like the TV app, right? Where basically the content is unlimited. And then if you pay for Max or, National Geographic or something through Apple, that content also goes into the TV app. If you use Netflix last week, it was in there briefly, which is a wild story. But this is going to be different because there's not a lot of it. I'm very curious to see how that plays out because Apple needs that content library to continue to grow on the headset.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to do the app, and I'm mostly excited for guest mode because whenever I try to have Sylvia try the Vision Pro, she absolutely hated the experience because like all the things you're supposed to go through, all the settings, all the little, all the little obstacles that you run into before 18.4. So, and Vision OS 2.4. So yeah, excited to give this a try again. Every time we talked about the Vision Pro, I kind of feel like I want to use the Vision Pro more, but then I don't.
Yeah.
And maybe this will be the thing. Like having the Vision Pro app on my phone maybe will push me to like download apps remotely, that sort of thing. Have the view, because then when you enter this sort of like negative loop of you forget about the Vision Pro, and when you do remember about the Vision Pro, the battery is not charged, and so you gotta charge it, and then you forget again, and then you don't use it. So now maybe having the Vision Pro app on my phone will like help me remember more frequently to keep my Vision Pro charged and download new apps from the phone and find them when I'm using the Vision Pro. So I think it's a good idea.
I think so too. Just keeping it on people's radar is a good thing. Because I think a lot of people are like us. It's like, oh yeah, I've got that thing and I use it every, once in a while, but I'm mostly just sort of sad about the money I spent.
Yeah, you have the a lot of people like us, they have the headset drawer. It's a drawer where you keep a headset and then you forget about it. It happened with the Oculus before, happened with a whole bunch of other headsets before. Like it happened to the best of us, and I know it happened with the Vision Pro for me. It's in a drawer and I forget about it. So the iPhone app is a good idea.
This episode of Connected is brought to you by Ecamm. Ecamm Live is the leading video production and live streaming suite built for the Mac. But it doesn't stop there because Ecamm is great at simplifying your workflow too. You can do it all with the Ecamm app, get started quickly, and have everything on hand to create whatever you need with video. A lot of video tools are complicated, and Ecamm's team has gone out of their way to make it easy to use. If you are familiar with what the Mac can do audio and video-wise, Ecamm is going to really impress you. It's great for streaming, recording, podcasting, and presenting. If you want to stand out from the crowd, you need high-quality video. And with Ecamm, you can screen share, use multiple cameras, and direct the show in real time with their live camera switcher. Plus, you can add logos, titles, lower thirds, and graphics. You can drop in video clips, bring on interview guests, use a green screen, and so much more. Ecamm Live truly does it all. Ecamm's members are entrepreneurs, marketing professionals, podcasters, hey, that's me, educators, musicians, church leaders, bloggers, and content creators of all kinds. And if you're on the pro level plan, you can enjoy Ecamm for Zoom. This is really cool because you can send Ecamm Live's audio and video output into a Zoom meeting, webinar, or event. And you can add up to 8 Zoom participants as camera sources in your broadcast and recording. So it works kind of in both directions. Plus, automatically create individual participant audio and video recordings, add Zoom chat messages to your broadcast. It is really cool. To get 1 month free today, go to ecamm.com/connected and use the code CONNECTED. That's 1 month free of Ecamm Live at Ecamm, E-C-A-M-M, ecamm.com/connected with the code CONNECTED at checkout. Our thanks to Ecamm for the support of the show and all of Relay. Welcome to Connected, Merri H.
Yes.
You don't watch Severance. It's a little lost on you. I think you would think it's creepy.
It sounds creepy. Everything that I've heard about it, like,
Yeah.
too plausible.
It's weird because once I come into the pod cabin, I don't remember our life outside.
Oh, gosh.
Totally separate.
Great.
Okay, well, you are our Beats expert on Connected. You've been on the show a few times over the years talking about headphones, and you're back because Beats/Apple/Dr. Dre have released the Powerbeats Pro 2, and you are a Powerbeats Pro user. So for people who aren't familiar with this, it's the Beats headphones that have the ear hook, right?
Yes.
So they go up over your ear, use them while working out. You have tried other Beats products in the past. I think kind of famously the Beats X you really hated.
Big X on the Beats X.
I don't. They were replaced by like the Beats Flex or something. But yeah,
I wonder if those would be better. Are they the same type?
Yeah, I think
the way
so.
it fits. And
Yeah.
I just hate them.
So the Powerbeats Pro 2 were rumored for a while. The rumor mill got the colors exactly right. I showed you an article somewhere. It's like, what color would you like? And you like those. And so you have the Hyper Purple, I think is what they're called.
They're beautiful.
It's like a lavender.
Yes. Yeah. It's like a pale purple.
Yeah. No, they're nice looking.
Mm-hmm.
The orange is better.
If you're you, yes.
Yes. If you're me. Right off the bat, what I noticed, because I don't wear these, I use AirPods Pro 2, is that the case is smaller. The case on the original Powerbeats was like humongous.
Yes. And this makes it less possible for me to drop it and it open up and the headphones go spinning across the house, which happened a lot with the other one because it was just so big in your hand. You're trying to open it and things happen.
And it charges via USB-C, which is nice.
Yes. That's right. That was the only reason we had the other one in the kitchen, right? It was just for my
one of the
headphones.
kids' phones uses Lightning still.
Yes.
But
yay. That's true.
maybe they'll get it. Maybe they'll get a 16E for their
Another
birthday.
plus.
Yep. USB-C is the way to go. These also come with 5 sets of ear tips. One nice thing about these silicon tipped headphones like the AirPods Pro 2 is that you can find what works for you size-wise. And we opened these and like I just had missed that on the product page, I guess, but they range from like, I mean, truly teeny tiny
Extra small
to like ones the size of grapes. You go with the medium,
It's disturbing.
right?
I think it came with the medium on and I tried the small and I like the small better.
One thing I don't like about, really, I think it's true across Apple's headphone lineup with the tips, is there's not a great way to store the unused tips.
I mean, you have to keep the packaging. That's what I
Yeah.
did. The ones that I pulled off, I just put back in the small spot
Yeah.
because they were close enough to
And they're
fit.
just like in a closet somewhere
And
now.
I just have to hope that I don't lose that box.
Yeah. I wish they came with like, I mean, I guess you could like put them in a Ziploc baggie. Like it's not, you're not forbidden.
That I would definitely lose though.
I kind of wish there was a better way because, you know, you may change sizes at some point or give them to somebody else. Or
I mean, they say your ears never stop growing. So
it's true.
I might be a size medium
have
by
you
2027.
Have you seen my dad? Like I'm gonna need those grape ones.
I still love you.
You are an Apple Watch wearer, so your heart rate is tracked via your Apple Watch. But one thing these do have, if you look at them, you know, they got all these like new contacts and stuff inside, is they can track your heart rate, which is kind of interesting.
Is there a large number of customers who love, like me, love the Powerbeats, but don't have an Apple Watch?
So what's interesting about Beats in particular is that much more than the AirPods, they market and like build features for Android users.
Oh,
And so
okay.
there's a link in the show notes this week where you can go read about the heart rate tracking on these. If you're listening. I mean, you can read it now if you want.
Okay, great.
It's in Notion. It'll be posted in a week. Because on Android, obviously, you're not using an Apple Watch. And there's lots
Right.
of other products that, you know, there's Garmin's and the Pixel Watch and Samsung watches and stuff. So for Android users, it uses the Beats app for Android. I think that syncs with like the health and fitness stuff on Android. But on iOS, what it does is if you're wearing an Apple Watch, the health app or like your workout app, so it defers to the Apple Watch. But if the app supports it, if you have it set up in health, again, go read the documentation. If you're not wearing an Apple Watch, you don't have one, it will fall back to this. And so for some users on the iPhone who don't have an Apple Watch or don't want one, or maybe they wear, you know, something else, then this would be a way to get heart rate data into like the Apple Health ecosystem and all the apps that plug into that. But that is what's really interesting about Beats. And it was kind of a question like, gosh, now like 10 years ago or however long ago it's been when Apple bought Beats was like, Beats was very big in the Android scene even back then.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in like all these retail places that Apple's brand wasn't. Apple's brand is a lot more places now, retail wise. But part of the conversation back then was like, what is Apple going to do with Beats? Like, are they going to let them be Beats and like do colors? And, you know, at the time they were known for like very bass heavy, maybe not actually that good sounding headphones. I think they're a lot better now. It is interesting to see they continue on that path. And I think it's good. Like,
I love it. I love that they're headphones for all.
Headphones for everyone. That's what we believe in.
If you have the amount of money to buy them.
They're like, I forget how much they are. They're like 200. Let's see, $249. I was looking at my laptop. So that's kind of the deal with the heart rate. So you as an Apple Watch user don't really benefit from it right now.
Where could I find it? Like if I weren't wearing my watch.
It would be in...
Like I was playing around with it, like pulled it up on the dashboard on my phone, and that's what it's called, right?
Sure. The health app?
No, like I swiped down from the corner.
Control Center.
Control Center. I was in Control Center on my phone last night trying to figure it out. And because that's where you can pull up to change, we'll get to this in a minute, I'm sure, the different options they have for audio and stereo.
Yeah.
But I thought that it might be there, but it wasn't.
It would be in the health app.
Oh.
Which is
Who
a mess.
opens the health app? Yeah, there's way too much in there. It's just crazy.
We agree.
So
the app is just a lot of stuff going on in there.
Yeah.
So that's where it shows up.
Okay.
But you were an Apple Watch. But I could see, because
use it for that.
There have been reports that the ear is actually a pretty decent place to pull heart rate information. I don't know why. I don't know if you knew this. I'm not a doctor.
Oh.
You know what kind of college degree I have?
I sure do.
It's right over your shoulder, actually, on the wall. But there could be a future where they like collate that information somehow, or like the Apple Watch, and because it's also rumored that heart rate tracking is going to come to the next version of AirPods Pro.
Okay.
Which are due.
Maybe they're testing it out in these. You're like, how does it actually compare to what we've done on the watch?
Well, I think they do all that in the labs, but I think it's just the first part.
I don't think so, buddy. I think I'm a guinea pig.
Wow.
I think that's what's happening here.
Wow.
Although if I was going to be a guinea pig for these, they should have given them to us a little bit cheaper.
A little bit cheaper.
Or just free. That would be nice.
That's not how that works at all.
Great.
Like knock over a Best Buy and get some. Steal me some orange ones next time. So maybe there's a future where, because if they come to AirPods Pro, like that's a much more iPhone heavy user base, obviously. And so I could see a future where Apple kind of just manages this in the background, and you don't have to really worry about where your heart rate information is coming from. It's just like, sometimes like you're working out and your watch is like a little loose, or, get sweaty. I know you don't sweat, but
No. I glisten.
Wow. So yeah, we'll see. So let's get to this. Is kind of the tech stuff. You did mention noise cancellation. The previous Powerbeats Pro had some noise cancellation, right? Or did it have any?
I don't think it had any.
I don't remember, but these do.
I was thinking about that, and I think I was remembering Beats X.
Yeah, I don't know.
Which I hated, though, because if you didn't know this already,
you gave them
I hate
X.
those. Big X. Because those, it hurt. And now I'm thinking it was more about the form of the Beats X than the actual noise cancellation feature, as I was thinking about the way that the button works, which isn't really a button. It's just, you can see like you push at the bottom of the earpiece, but you're not having to push it into your ear because you have the support of the loop going around the back of your ear. I think that pressure is kind of more spread out. And so when I touch it, there's no pushing into my eardrum. There's no like compression of anything in my ear, which is what really annoyed me about the noise cancellation option. But again, I don't think that was the Powerbeats that I've been using.
Well, regardless, because you could also turn it on in software in Control Center. So you have played around with the noise cancellation on these. These have the same sort of innards as the AirPods Pro 2, so I imagine they're pretty good. Are they pretty good?
They are, yeah. I couldn't hear anything. I was in the kitchen washing dishes, and our daughter and one of her friends were baking, and they had a question, and our kitchen is not that big. It's like we were 5 feet away, and I had no idea that they were talking to me. And I was not like, I didn't have it cranked to 11 or anything.
All of our listeners in New York City are angry that that there's 5 feet of space in any direction in our kitchen. It's really not that big. That's basically end to end. Yeah, the noise cancellation is really nice on the AirPods Pro 2. They also have the transparency mode where it brings in outside noises, which is nice. Like if you're in a big city and you need to hear what's going on around you, but you want your headphones in.
Whereas before, I still probably will only wear one just out of habit.
Yeah, that's what I do.
I will wear one and then have, the other ear. But
in which case, noise cancellation doesn't work. You got to have both,
right,
I think.
Right, yes.
Did you play with the spatial audio stuff?
Yeah. Is
Okay.
that a new thing?
It's the last couple years.
Okay.
But I hate it. So
Really?
there's a couple of different ways it works. One, you can have it where it's locked to your
Fixed.
device.
Yeah.
So like right now, my MacBook is off to my left, and it would sound like it's coming out of my left ear. Then if I turned my head to look towards it, it would equalize between my ears. I find that super trippy. And
Yeah.
it doesn't make me dizzy, but I don't like it.
No, I get that. And so when I was playing around with it, I looked like a crazy person because I was in the kitchen, just like turning my head this way, turning my head that way, and just getting a feel for it. And what I like about it is that I kind of feel like I'm like at a concert, like, oh, like there's music right in front of me. And now I'm turning and, the music, they're still playing over there. It's just.
How loud do you have your headphones?
Don't worry about it.
We're going to turn on hearing protection on your phone when we're done with this.
No.
Yeah.
But I was thinking about using, I use them for working out. I don't use them at work. I don't need to, edit podcasts. I don't need to listen for specific things. I'm just listening to music most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes podcasts.
Interesting.
Have you heard of podcasts?
No, they're not going anywhere.
I don't know. They're pretty big. But when I think about using spatial audio for working out, I don't see any benefit to that. I could only see it being mildly annoying. Like you're doing yoga and you're turning and all of a sudden the music is moved, and that might be kind of disorienting
Or
or working on.
Distracting even.
Yes. Yeah. And even like I was thinking about like if you were mountain biking and you need to do a quick head check because you think you hear somebody coming up on your left, then the music moves. That could be really
connected
confusing.
Listeners will know that I only walk or bike ride with one earpod in because AirPod, God, these names are so only one AirPod in because I want to hear what's around me. And everyone was like, use transparency. I was like, I want if I'm going to get hit by a car, I want to hear it coming.
Yes,
at the very
I agree.
least.
I agree.
And maybe I can get out of the way, or at least I know what's coming. If it sounds pretty good, it's like, man, your exhaust sounds good. And then I get hit by a truck. So how do they sound?
Good. Yeah, I like them a lot. I could bump up the bass a little, but that is a setting though, right? Can I?
Yeah.
I feel like we had to do that last time.
There's some EQ settings. That may be a fitment issue too. Maybe try one size up.
Oh.
If you don't have a good seal, the bass is what you lose first. Now, if that's uncomfortable, right?
It wasn't. It just, maybe I'll try that.
Yeah, I would try one size up, but there are also some EQ settings on the phone, I think. But that's kind of funny because Beats, again, is known for, or at least were known. I honestly think most of their headphones are much better now. But in the day, they had a reputation for just their EQ was all bass, And a lot of people like that, right? And a lot of
I do.
And,
I prefer.
Yeah, and a lot of styles of music benefit from it. So podcasts don't necessarily, but a lot of music does. So, so overall, it sounds like we got a winner.
Yes, I'm very happy with them. There's still a part of me that wants to keep using my old ones because they're just broken in. We have a long-standing relationship. They're my first loves.
Interesting.
And
so both of us have a love for past technology. I have my first Mac in the other room, right over there.
I feel just one. Don't play.
No, but my first one,
Okay.
that blue and white G3 from Ties, I have.
Yeah. Oh, I'm aware.
I'm going to hug him.
What's his name?
He doesn't have a name.
I don't
You know
believe
that blue and white G3, I don't know if you know this. In college, I took the translucent panels off in my dorm room because it was under my desk in my dorm room. It's like my server. I'm doing giant air quotes. It just put my iTunes library on the
With
school
all your
network.
music, yeah.
Yeah. And because the University of Memphis at the time had a flat network, I could get to it from anywhere and from the outside. Hopefully that's not how this university network works anymore. This is a public IP address. What is happening? But I took the panels off and with a fat Sharpie, made the G3 darker so it stands out more in the case. I was really cool. Why did you marry me? Well, Merri, thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
It's always fun to have you on.
Glad to be here.
And Federico is sorry he missed this. We tried, so a little behind the scenes, you work as a teacher, and so your schedule is you're out of the house early in the morning until the afternoon. We had a couple snow days last week, and we tried aligning where all three of us could be on, because I think he wanted to grill you about me.
Probably.
But it just didn't pan out, so just the two of us. But Federico says hello, and sorry he missed you.
Ticci will just set up another time for talking about
just FaceTime
Stephen.
him right now.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, back to the show. Federico, that brings us to the end of the show. We did it.
Yeah, that was a really good interview. I am sad that I couldn't join you and Merri. I would have quizzed Merri on a whole bunch of things, but you did a good job, and I especially loved the sound effects.
Those are fun. Those are fun to do. Maybe we'll have the two of y'all do something at some point. We need to do it. So,
okay.
It just didn't work out this time. So if you want to find us online, a bunch of links to do so. You can leave feedback at connectedfeedback.com. Send us follow-up there. You can get Connected Pro at getconnectedpro.com or .co. Either one, they both work. Connected Pro is the longer ad-free version of the show that we do each and every week. This week we spoke about our podcasting setups in the Pro show. Members also get access to some members-only podcasts, access to our Discord, a bunch of great stuff. It's just $7 a month. So go learn more, and thank you to our members who do support us directly. If you want to find us online, Federico's work is at macstories.net, where he is the editor-in-chief. Myke is off for a few weeks, but go send him some love on Instagram. And you can find my writing over at 512pixels.net. And of course, go check out our shirts. That link is in the show notes as well. We'd love to see you all in some connected gear. And more importantly, to prove Myke wrong about merchandise.
Yes. Thank you for mentioning that.
I'd like to thank our sponsors, Google Gemini, Incogni, and Ecamm. And until next week, Federico, say goodbye.
Arrivederci.
Bye, y'all.